playing with him?
Well, Tim and I met in the early 80s. I'm not exactly sure, but 82 maybe. 80.
Oh wow, that early already. Wow.
Yeah, we used to live in the same neighborhood in Brooklyn. I was living in a house with Kenny Werner and a couple of other musicians, and we could play there like any time of day or night because it was really in a really very kind of rough neighborhood, but there was nobody around to complain about us playing all night. So we used to have all night sessions with tons of people would come by. But Tim just lived a couple blocks away. And I'm not even exactly, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure how we met, but it was around that time. And I remember doing sessions. He would come over to the house and we would do sessions. And then the first time we ever did a gig together, Tim and Zorn had a gig, and it was playing. He wanted to play the music of Ornette Coleman, and so Tim, it was Zorn's gig with Tim and Ratso.
Oh yeah, that was that quartet. Yeah, yeah.
But it was never. I mean, nothing really ever happened. We did one gig.
Oh okay.
But that's kind of the first time I really worked with Tim, and then we never played with Zorn again. I think Tim went on to play with Zorn again, but
yeah.
I never really played with Zorn again. But then Tim put together a band with Ratso and Bill Frisell and Herb Robertson, and that was the first time, and that was really eye-opening for me because that was one of the first times I did a gig that was not standard based. Even if it wasn't standards, most of the people I knew that were writing tunes were writing like lead sheets. This was the first time somebody was writing something that, that was really more through compose and not necessarily in time and not necessarily, I mean, some of it was, some of it wasn't. And that was like, I didn't really know what to do with a lot of it because I just, I didn't really have that experience of, I wasn't really in part of the avant-garde at all. I mean, I was always improvising with people, but I was never really, I wasn't really doing the gigs I was doing. It was usually probably mostly standards, playing with singers, playing, and so playing Tim's early music, from the '80s was like, holy shit, this is another way of doing it. And then, then we just, then he'd have some different bands, and then he'd come back and hire me. I mean, we're still like, I mean, he's still one of my best friends. I see him more than I see anybody else. And, but at least musically right now, we're not so much involved with each other, but I'm sure some capacity we will always be. And, so that was the beginning of what became
But